Let's get into the last fan fiction, fantasy booking, as they call it in wrestling, that we're going to do. Let's do the mock draft first round. To be clear, we're doing what we would do, not what we think will happen, but, that might push some of these thoughts and ideas as we talk them out. We're going to alternate. Matt's going to go first, then me, then Charles, and then we're going to just keep rotating through. No snake drafts for this mock draft. Let's just roll right through. Pick one, though. That's Matt. Tennessee Titans. Let's kick us off. Oh, no, what's the sound that they make? I don't know if it's copyrighted. Are we going to get taken down?
Yeah, probably. You just got us blacklisted on this one.
And now we're off YouTube.
Sorry.
No, here at the first pick, no surprises. I'm not going to be cute here. What I would do is what will happen on Thursday night. I'm going to take Cam Ward, quarterback Miami for the Tennessee Titans. Look, I think we've all talked about Cam Ward to death at this point. It feels like we all accepted that this was going to be the pick probably like a month and a half, maybe 2 months ago at this stage. I don't really care where you would rank him in last year's quarterback class or anything like that. He's the best quarterback in this class, and it feels like as the process has gone on, consensus has formed that he is quarterback one in this class with a healthy gap between him and two. And I would agree with that. He's not a perfect prospect, but he has all the traits, the off script skills, and the stuff in structure that you would want out of a quarterback to take number one overall. So congratulations, Tennessee. You got a quarterback here to root for.
On our little graphics that Matt and Stone, our producers, put together for our YouTube show, so that we have projected around for these names we're talking about. I just said first overall pick to say round one, to say late round one, just first overall pick. Yeah, this has been kind of in the cards, it seems, for a while. The Titans have been working the phones, and I think that's been confirmed basically by everybody, but I don't think they'll move off this pick because it's a one quarterback class. One of my bold takes was that, my spicy takes, was that only one quarterback will go in the first round. I don't know. I'm staying by that. I'm staying by that. I'm seeing some stuff kind of come together. Charles, what do you think of that one?
I think that's sensible, but then we saw 6 in the top 12 last year. I just wonder if they're just so thirsty. So someone actually asked me today, would you be surprised if Tyler Shuck was drafted on Thursday night? I was like, I don't. I guess it would depend where. If he was pick 30, right. I don't know. Yeah. Just because of what we saw last year for me, I don't know if I'd be terribly surprised.
I know. And it seems like no one's bored. There's no consensus in this class, which is a lot of fun, but especially at quarterback. And especially if you get off Cam Ward. Shoot, even a couple have players above Cam Ward, which I do not agree with, but they do. But yeah, so we'll see. I think day 2 is going to be a quarterback frenzy, and I'm curious how they kind of just unfold where they end up. All right, I got the next pick. Cleveland Browns. This has kind of been in the cards, it feels like, as well, once Cam Ward kind of locked in. That is, I'm going to go with Travis Hunter, receiver / cornerback. I think he's a corner first that should moonlight as a receiver. However, the Browns have been really out there saying that we think of him as a receiver, and we're going to try and go both ways. They've really talked about him, gushed about him, which I get. He's a hell of a talent. We've talked about him plenty. We've talked about the receiver pod, talking about the corner pod, the DB pod. Both of them were gushing with the praise of Travis Hunter. So I think no matter what, you just want the talent on your team. That's why you want to go with a guy like this, even if it's not perfect. Shoot, maybe even look at your offensive line, Cleveland. But I think Hunter is just too talented of a player. So might as well just get some feel goods, and we'll figure out the quarterback later.
It's more sensible than what's going to happen on Thursday. I've ranted out before. I'm sick for him. I'm sick for us as football watching fans that we fall in love with this guy over the past 3 years. We've seen him do incredible Iron Man, Jim Thorpe feats of college football, and he's gonna go play with the Cleveland Browns. Come on, man.
Got it. It's what a buzzkill that's going to be for every Browns fan who watches our show second overall. We don't throw to Charles first. Someone get this to fix now. Don't throw to Charles first for the reaction to the
entire pick.
One of the 32 fan bases is just clicking out for the evening.
You like my Jim Thorpe reference, though, right? That was good.
I did. I love the Jim Thorpe reference. I did. This ain't wrestling. That popped me. That was good. You, Matt, you've kind of compared Hunter as a receiver to Odell Beckham Jr. which would be kind of funny because the Browns made a move back in the day for Odell Beckham Jr. I know.
Browns legend Odell Beckham Jr. That really worked out well.
Yeah, it worked out great. I wonder if Odell Beckham Sr. is still grinding tape. So ready to post some clips about the quarterback not getting the ball out on time. We get that part.
You think Coach Prime is Coach Prime is like having Travis Hunter as an adopted son? Is he gonna be posting YouTube clips of insert Kenny Pickett or whatever here missing Travis Hunter on wide open routes? Maybe, you never know at this point. But no, yeah, I mean, I think he's a great receiver prospect. I get the argument that he's gonna touch the ball, he's gonna impact the game more, he's gonna affect your team more as a wide receiver. But I truly believe he's going to try to play both ways, and I think the Browns will empower him to do that. And even if that is like taking more of a healthy diet as a wide receiver than it is as a corner, I mean, this is a team that they need something, man. I mean, Charles, you and I said this on the wide receiver breakdown show. Like, they got to do something to get this team energized at this point. And obviously, taking, in my opinion, clearly run away the best prospect in the draft, regardless of where he ends up playing, I think is the right move for them.
Well, yeah, and I think if you're Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski, you're realistically looking at this like, I got to save my job. So I got to keep the best possible players here right now for every week. Which is why you see the Myles Garrett extension. Probably why you're going to see them take Travis Hunter at 2. I think obviously he's going to make them better. I just think when you look at their roster, you look at their financial situation, it just feels like a luxury pick. They don't really have the facilities to afford right now. But hey, this is America. You can do what you want.
I thought it was free. I thought it was free to take a luxury pick. What? I thought it was America. No, but
it's what it is.
Charles, you are now on the clock with the New York Giants.
Well, I think I had this pick when we did the podcast with Connor and Trevor. I took my vote then. I'm going to go in a different direction now. Actually, this time, I'm going to take out Dual Carter here, strictly just because. Wouldn't that be fun? Like, you have Dexter Lawrence, who is one of the 3 best like interior linemen in the game right now. You have Brian Burns, who's a very good edge rusher, and then it would push Kayvon Thibodeau probably to that 3rd edge role, which is probably a little bit more appropriate for him. And you kind of have like a true 4-man front that can really get after people. And that would definitely help take some of the pressure off the secondary, which didn't play too well last year, and they're still trying to figure some things out. So just to get some more pressure up front and to keep it moving in that direction, I think probably a good pick for the Giants right here.
I've come around on this because it just also maybe it's just me picturing those old Giants defensive lines when they had the NASCAR package. Now, remember that talking point from 15 years ago?
Oh, yeah.
Anybody else remember that? Remember the NASCAR package?
Yep.
Remember that trend? Remember that trend? "Quote unquote" trend the teams were trying to copy. It was right before the Patriots had Aaron Hernandez and Rob Gronkowski, and everyone said we're getting 2 tight ends now. That was a movement for a while too. That was a trend for a little bit. But no, this is the talent. This is the best player for them. I did like when we did that with the stock exchange guys. I liked where you're going, Charles. We're going like, hey, offensive line, have you guys looked at what you got? But now going with maybe a needle moving pass rusher with Burns is really cool. Thibodeau's kind of a limited player. I like him. There's some things he does well, but he does have limitations as a player. So like maybe just get a guy that has a little bit more juice to him. Yeah, I get this. Imagine that 4 though. Thibodeau, Burns, Lawrence, and Carter. That's pretty scary. And that's a defense I'm going to stay high on. I was maybe a year early on them, but I'm going to stay high on that Giants defense. I think this could be a fun little needle mover for him. Matt, you now go a little bit east. You got the Patriots at pick number 4.
Yeah, this is where obviously the draft drops off in terms of like the top prospects. So I kind of think the 4th overall pick is a little bit where we begin. It's more so at 5, but I think we're officially in the Wild West at this point. I'm going to go Armand Membu at this pick. Because look, this is what I would do, not what I think the teams would do. I actually think if I had to guess right now, they're just going to take Will Campbell at 4, but I'm a coward, man. I would be a little worried about the length, even if I think he's going to be a good left tackle, Will Campbell, or at least like somebody you try at left tackle and worse becomes a very good guard. Like I said, I like Campbell. I think you should start him at tackle and give him a shot there, and he's got all the skills to do it. I think you could say all the same things about Membo, but he's, I think, more of an aggressive player, somebody that they're going to want to run the ball. I think he's going to be an asset as a movement guy out in space. So yeah, give me Membo here.
I like this. This is who Charles had going to the Giants in that other mock draft, but I think the Patriots are going O-line no matter. It looks like Campbell, but Membo, I had these guys right next to each other on the big board. Charles, what do you think about this one?
Yeah, same. I think it's totally fine. Because I also think that Membo is he to me he can be like a Tristan Wirfs where you can play him left tackle feasibly. I don't really see why he couldn't do that in the NFL. Just when how you watch him move and you see how he played, you see how he tests athletically. So I think this is a great pick. And also I think if you think he's a right tackle only, if he could be that good for 10, 15 years, it's probably still worth the pick for.
Yeah, they went and got Morgan Moses, the right tackle. Morgan Moses does not preclude you from taking Boo or something of that sort. And I'm with you, is that he's a right tackle now, but I think he has the length and athleticism to kick over the left side. Again, that's projection and theory and everything, but I think his tape is good enough to try it. I think they end up going Campbell. I think that's pretty much locked in, but they go with Campbell because of the kind of best five enabler, and they're just like, whatever, we'll just get the guy. I also think Vrabel's probably a sucker for Campbell's personality, which makes a lot of sense. No, I like this pick a lot. They need linemen. They need trenches. And I think, to me, even with the defensive head coach and everything, I think with the quarterback they have, Drake May, you're trying to make his life easier. That's going to be your breadwinner for the next decade. So let's make sure that that's all shored up and make sure the confidence stays there, because we don't want that to dip at all. So I think O-line, no matter what, whether it's Campbell or Membu, makes all the sense in the world. I'm up with the Jags. And we're doing what we would do. And if this situation unfolded, I know the Ashton Jeanty hype. I'm seeing it. I'm kind of buying into it as well. I think that does unfold that way. I'm going Will Campbell here, though, for the Jaguars, because I think if Campbell was still there, this would actually be their pick. So Will Campbell for the Jags, I think he would start out at guard for him. But the thing is, again, you're getting your best five enabler. You are, no matter what, and no matter the makeup of that offensive line, I have liked Anton Harrison. I thought he was great as a rookie. I thought he dropped off last year. But still, and their tackles are kind of solved, but it's the interior of the offensive line they're figuring out. And I think Campbell, no matter what, can drop in and be that, hey, no matter what, I'm going to start at guard. I don't think he'll start at center right away, but maybe we can work to it. He's on the field. Maybe we can kick him out to tackle as the years go along. So I'm going to go with Campbell here. I think also just makeup-wise and character-wise, I think the Jaguars are going for these types of players that really can kind of be locker room builders as they kind of come out of the bulky Doug Peterson, everybody sucks era. Everybody's terrible. I'm the smartest guy in the room. Everybody else is stupid. We're getting out of that era. Let's get some positivity here in Jacksonville. So going with Campbell. Charles, am I a little crazy here? Is this a little too rich for Campbell if I'm slotting him inside a guard?
No, I don't think it's that crazy. We see what the top of the market guards get paid. So if you think you can be that right away, then I don't think that's such an indefensible pick. Even though I'm sure people will probably turn their nose at you a little bit, but if he's that good and he can start for that long, then shoot, good players are good players, man. At the end of the day,
right, especially with real versatility. That's what
doesn't it feel like the draft sometimes is like where the most like weird positional dogma remains. I mean, because like Charles just made the point, like top of the line, Will Fries made like a boatload of money like this offseason. Like Will Fries, he's a good player, but I mean, come on, like Will Campbell, if he's a guard, I think clearly outshoots that. And it just, again, it's weird that we get the draft, you can't take a guard fifth overall. I mean, but we'll pay some moderately decent starting player a boatload of money in free agency. Again, it just feels like once we get back to the draft, we're still a little too rigid with the way we think about things.
And hey, this is why I'm always offensive line heavy first, where it's like, hey, we have five guys graded the same way. Go with the offensive linemen. They're on the field every snap. They impact the game every snap. You can't really hide an offensive lineman too many times throughout a game. So if we're trying to, hey, if I'm tied with, hey, Campbell, Walker, Jeanty here. Okay, who's on the field the most? Okay, well, Walker is a tweener. I'm not sure where I'm going to put him. Jeanty's a running back who's going to take some valuable touches, but he'll be off the field as well. What about his longevity? All right, let's go with the offensive lineman because, yeah, he's a guard right now, but he's playing 60-plus snaps a week. And the versatility, and again, it's not theory or like just guesses. Like he's shown that he can play tackle. So like that real versatility and real impact of the game is why I just stay high on him. So, I mean, like Brandon Scherf reminded me a little bit of this when the Commanders took him back in the day. Was that like, oh my gosh, 10 years ago, was that he was a badass tackle at Iowa, and they immediately put him at guard, and no one batted an eye. He was a needle moving guard for them. Zach Martin is kind of like this too. Was a tackle with short arms. At Notre Dame, they bumped him in the guard. Dallas did. They took him in the teens though. So again, this type of draft class, then I don't know, 5 isn't as rich as you would think in a normal draft class either. So, Charles, you got the next pick. You got the Las Vegas Raiders here at pick 6.
I hate how this has turned out. This because I don't want to take Jeanty here. Because we're talking about what I would do.
It's what you want to do. Yeah.
Shoot. I think we can go T-Mac here. McMillan.
Yeah.
I look at this Raiders offensive line. I would have loved for Membo or Campbell to get here. Those would have been like auto picks for me because when you just look at where they are right now on the offensive line. Like outside of Colton Miller, there's a whole lot of shakiness, and I think there's to me the crazy part about taking Ashton Jeanty at 6 for them is just because you had one of the worst running games in NFL history last year doesn't mean that one player can fix that for you, right? So I think you kind of have to start up front and then build back out to the running back room. So I would have loved to take a tackle here. Didn't have it, or one that I really love at 6. So we're going to take Ted McMillan, give Geno Smith a number 1 target and on the outside. And I think that this adds enough depth for their wide receiver room where you can feel better about where you are passing game wise. You know, when you look at their passing game group, it's like, Jacoby Myers is a nice guy, but if he's going to be like your leading target guy outside of Brock Bowers, we still have room to improve there. So we'll put McMillan in this room. You got McMillan, Jacoby Myers, Brock Bowers, veteran quarterback, and Geno Smith, and maybe that's enough for them to compete for a little bit more than they did last year in the AFC West.
Trying to get the vibes a little bit better there.
a little bit better. Hey, we're a football team again, guys.
Yeah, we're real. Hey, we got money now. It's great. We can actually pay for things. Matt, what would you think about McMillan with the Raiders in that fit?
Yeah, they desperately need an X receiver. As bad as their running back room is on paper, I mean, their top 2 pass catchers are a tight end. I mean, Brock Bowers is a great player, but he's a tight end. And then Jacob Myers is one of the more underrated receivers in the league, but he's a slot leaning guy who can also play flanker. It's like we cannot run Trey Tucker or whatever out there as our other starting perimeter receiver. And I think McMillan gives you, and like Jacoby Myers, by the way, is on the last year of his deal. I feel like that is an underrated talking point when we're talking about the Las Vegas Raiders here. Like they just don't have much of a future at all at this wide receiver position. I think Geno Smith fits McMillan well stylistically. Like Nate, as we've talked about some of these deeper in-breaking routes for him, those are really some throws where Geno will stare down the barrel and rifle that thing over the middle. So I think from that angle, this makes a lot of sense. And Chip Kelly's shown an ability to take his top receiver, whoever that is, and move them around the formation. I think that's also something you want to do with McMillan. So yeah, I mean, this makes the offense better from the jump. And while I think, McMillan in a normal draft maybe isn't a guy I'd want to take at the 6th overall pick, in a draft like this where there's 3 top guys and then that's kind of it, I'm comfortable taking him in this spot.
Yeah, this range comfortable with, like you said, with this class. I'm trying to figure out what the Raiders are going to go because they've got a lot of Jeanty smoke, and now we're getting a lot of M'Bo smoke or M'Bow smoke. So, but that's the thing, M'Bo smoke. And then that's the thing is that he's gone in our exercise. So it's kind of, this would probably be worst case for them unless they wanted to trade back, something, unless they wanted to go Jeanty, because like you guys say, it's also a deep running back class. I'd much rather for the Raiders to go line or trenches and then get the back on day 2, which they will. They're going to address that position in some way, shape, or form. No, but like you said, with this passing game, Geno's going to give him a shot. I love McMillan, as we've talked about plenty on this pod. But he actually complements Bowers really well, because Bowers is a horizontal guy and a yak guy and a speed guy. And then McMillan is more vertical intermediate guy. Vertical, not just taking the top off the defense, but that more of that 15 to 20 yard range that he can really operate in. So I actually like this a little bit more than maybe I would have thought. I would maybe want them to go trenches, but I think just how this breaks, this makes a little bit of sense to me. So, Matt, you got the Jets next at pick number 7.
God, this is a tough spot for the Jets because I think they'd love to have Armand Membo be here. I'm with you, Nate, that I feel like we've just heard so much buzz about Jeanty to Jacksonville, and then it feels like the Raiders will go Membo at 6, and then I think the Jets could realistically find themselves in this scenario. And again, there's a lot of different ways we could go here. I think they could go something completely off the board. Maybe take like a defensive back here, like a Jeanty Barron. I'm not going to go that direction. So for the producers, I'm not. Although I did give it some thought. I did give it some thought.
Saw them scrolling a little bit.
Let's just do it. Let's do Jeanty Barron here. I actually think this is. I think this is gonna. I think there's a chance they could go something crazy here. I don't really know if I see Mason Graham as a fit in this defense and kind of what they want to do there. And let's be clear, they're blending multiple styles here, because Aaron Glenn and Steve Wilkes is going to call the plays there, even though Aaron Glenn will be the talking point of this. I think Barron gives them kind of an immediate guy in the middle of that defense to play slot corner. I think he's complements the group they have really well. And he's often compared to Brian Branch, and Aaron Glenn just had a success with that type of player. So I do feel like people are going to like Barron maybe more than sort of the outside consensus. So give me Barron here just to do something a little different.
Yeah, I think he has fans in the league. The thing with him with Barron is I like him. I do like him. I see the Branch comparisons. It's Branch's film was better though, and he was younger. And I know he had injury stuff, which he still does, but that was that. That's that play style. It's a slot safety type. But the thing is some teams love that type. They love that type of player on their team. The Jets are kind of a wild card. Tight end might be an answer here. O-line, they go a lot of directions. I'd be yeah, that makes sense. So I like Barron here, and especially some of that slot stuff. I could see Aaron Glenn liking as well. That's a great call though, with the Branch comparison with Glenn and everything, and that's where you end up being. Charles, any thoughts on Barron or anything with the Jets, or maybe another spot that maybe could look at?
I would have said let's put Mason Graham next to Quinn Williams and just have some fun. Because I do think one thing that happened last year, or over what happened over the past 2 years, they did lose some talent off that interior, and I think you saw that they're just really thin with the depth. And I don't know, it just seems like that would have been a pretty good pairing here. But Jeanty Barron, I feel like you feel good about him at least being a quality slot at the very worst. I think maybe some of the testing you saw this offseason maybe gives a little bit of upside than we would have thought back in the fall. So I don't hate it, but I think I would have gone defensive tackle here and just took Mason Graham and said, expectations are low, so let's just stack players here.
I was looking, I really want to make a trade here, because I just saw that if this unfolded like this, would Sean Payton start calling? So I would put him in the put an asterisk maybe here, that maybe a trade up from the Broncos here to pick 8 to the Panthers, who have already, Dan Morgan's already said, yeah, we'd be open to trading down. Jeanty here, I think they would shoot up. Maybe we get that call, but no trade. So with no trade and with the Panthers standing pat, I think they just go Mason Graham here. And I think they just take the pick that's sitting right in front of them. They could go anywhere on defense. It would make sense to me. They could go edge.
I think this will take 2 seconds.
They go linebacker, they go DB, and I'll be like, yep, anywhere on defense. Let's go with Graham. I think a defensive tackle here. They signed Bobby Brown. He's a nose tackle. They have Derek Brown already there, hopefully coming healthy. But if you got Mason Graham and Derek Brown on your interior with complementary skill sets too, they actually make a lot of sense together. You just brought up Quinn and Williams. That's another one that makes sense. But these two actually make sense. You want the brawler, You want the gap shooter. That's perfect. So going with a guy that I think is a tangible, good player. And the Panthers need that on defense right now. So Mason Graham to the Panthers. You like this one, Charles? You think this one makes sense?
Yeah.
So 2 seconds?
I mean, 2 seconds. They have nobody still. Okay, not nobody. Not nobody. That's a little harsh. But they had like nobody last year on their defense in general. So I just think when you're that far away from still having the defense that you hope to have moving forward, just take whatever is the best defensive player on the board. And I think that's Mason Graham. It literally didn't matter what position. Whoever's the best defensive player on the board, just take him. Keep moving.
And that's kind of what I came to. It was like there's Jalen Walker, but okay, he's a tweener. Okay, he kind of makes some sense in that defense, but he's kind of a tweener. Okay, maybe not him. All right. Michael Williams. All right, he's got questions. What's his pass rush upside? He looks like more of a project, more of a run defender. Okay, are we going to take that 8? Okay, let's keep going. Mike Green. Okay, all right, but is this a little rich for Mike Green? Pick 8. Shamar Stewart. Okay, that's a project that doesn't have a lot of production. Like they all have a little bit more questions, and Graham is not a perfect prospect. None of them are, yada, yada. But I do think that maybe he's an easier one to understand to take your 8. Not as many bigger blemishes as maybe some of the other guys that defensive line have. Charles, now up. Pick 9. We're staying in the NFC South. You have the Saints. You cannot sabotage them. You cannot. I know this is what you would do.
Charles, what would Charles do here? He's taking a kicker. Who's the highest kicker on the board?
No, there's no Janikowski pick here. There's no.
Well, it's funny because my sabotage pick would be Jackson Dart. I think.
I think they are the Dart team, but I think it's round 2. I think that's what. Yeah, I think that's where he dropped out of Green Bay. That's just we're in tea leaves there. But yeah, we're ready to go there.
I think here, I don't know if he's gonna end up going this high by the time draft comes, but I'm gonna take Derek Harmon here. From Oregon. Yeah,
that's awesome.
The Saints they need to get a little bit younger / better on the defensive line. They drafted Brian Brzee, who's all right. They just also acquired Devon Godchaux, which I think shows that we still are looking for another credible body up there. So I love Harmon. I think he profiles really well. It's just kind of like one of those 33 techniques that plays the run and pass pretty well. Maybe not like a 10-sack guy, but someone can get consistent pressure on the quarterback while also affecting the run. So we're going to take him here because I like the high floor. And when you're the Saints and you're kind of looking at just trying to build some stability again, he seems like a pretty safe guy.
Yeah, I like this pick. I like Harmon a lot. Matt, with the Saints, were there any other spots that you maybe had looked at for them, or just like kind of an outsiders that you think? Do you think receiver is a spot here that they can maybe go, or another pass catcher, some way, shape, or form, or just like offense?
I think McMillan, if he was here, would be in strong consideration because I know they like him, and I think he kind of completes that receiver room because they don't have like a true big body on the boundary. Otherwise, I think they could do something weird and take Ashton Jeanty, which, by the way, would just destroy like every Dynasty Bros dreams because, then he'd be like one of the best running back prospects in a minute would be in a backfield split with Alvin Kamara in his rookie year. Probably nobody really wants that, including Ashton Jeanty and Alvin Kamara. Yeah, with maybe whoever the hell in round 2. So I do think they're if McMillan's on the board, I think they'll consider him at 9. But no, I like this pick a lot, and I'm with Charles, and I like Derek Harmon too. I think he's a guy that I feel like I don't see often mocked in the top 10, but I think has in this class like the skill set to be somebody that's super disruptive both in the run and pass phase. So I think there's a couple defenses I'd love to see him a little bit more with the Saints where I was hoping to kind of take him in the teens here. But I do like him going here at 9.
Yeah, I really like Harmon. He ended up 15th on my board. Charles has him at 23rd. We've been bullish on him, and just because what you guys are speaking of is that he fits like everywhere to me because he can do so much. Like he not saying that he's an all-world talent. That's why he's scheme-proof. It's just that he has versatility, which is not, you don't see that a lot from an interior defensive lineman that's this big, and he moves well. He plays the run well. He plays the pass well. You figure out, is he a jack of all trades or is he actually really good at those? That's what you try to determine everything. But I like him. I just see him fitting in so many places. I see him having a role in so many places, and he has the athleticism, does all the stuff that gives you upside. That's why you take a guy top 10. So, there's no place in the draft that you can go. I mean, maybe not top 5, but anywhere past the top 5, I'm like, yeah, Harmon makes sense because I think his tape and his athleticism is that good. So I'm all for this for Harmon, and Saints kind of need it. And Brandon Staley's defense is kind of wonky too, so it actually makes sense. And with that kind of defense, it's kind of weird to say Harmon while I'm talking to Matt Harmon as well. And speaking, going from Derek Harmon to Matt Harmon. Harmon, you're next on the clock with the Chicago Bears. This will be our last pick before the break. What are the Bears going to do? Another interesting team to me, because they could go in a lot of directions. It makes sense, but kind of seems ready-made.
Yeah, we're going to take Ashton Jeanty here. I don't think he gets to 10. I don't think he gets to 10 on Thursday night. I'm with you, Nate, that like if he starts falling past the Raiders, I do think somebody's calling and like, yes, God, let it be the Broncos. I've been trying to manifest Ashton Jeanty to the Broncos since I think before the regular season ended. Because like that ecosystem is ready. Yeah. Yeah, I think I was talking about it in December. Like that ecosystem is ready to be elevated by a running back. I think that we could probably say that that's the case for Chicago. We're going off no proof of concept in terms of like, yeah, is this going to be a good offensive ecosystem? Well, every offseason we talk ourselves into the Bears in some way, shape, or form. So we're doing it again this year, but I actually think there's a great proof of concept that Ben Johnson has it. And I think, again, Jeanty's a guy that's just going to give your offense an immediate identity, take some pressure off of the passing game. I don't love the idea of taking a tight end here. I'll just say that. Like at 10th overall, the whole point to me, besides the fact that, the offensive system was just kind of whacked out last year in Chicago, is that I think they, in a weird way, had way too many players to prioritize getting the football to. And I think if we add a tight end in the mix here, it's not quite as, hey, I'm Keenan Allen, I'm a former Pro Bowl receiver. Like, I need my targets. If it's like Tyler Warren and we're doing some designer plays and stuff like that for him. But I think I want to focus on, in the passing game, the two guys that we have here that we took 9th overall and gave $100 million to in DJ Moore. Either way, a bunch of money at the wide receiver position. So in the running game, let's get a guy who can really be the identity of this offense, because obviously DeAndre Swift is not that. So I don't think Jeanty makes it to 10, but if he does, I think the Bears would turn in the card.
Gerald Everett's done a number on you, hasn't he? Enough. Unbelievable. Isn't he? Is he signed somewhere? Did he sign somewhere this offseason? I think he's still with the Bears, isn't he? I think I thought him him and Shane Waldron were shown the door together, basically. So no, I don't think he's on the team. No, he's not. He's not. Yeah, we figured out. But that's a great call, was having so many mouths to feed, though, and not in a sense of like, oh, let's get this guy going, let's get this gadget guy going, let's get this going. It was like, all right, there's no flow if everybody's getting 1-2 touches that are heavily designed. I think Johnson loves Jeanty. I think that's been out there anyways, and I think that there's been the like, oh, it could be the it could be the David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs, but just in Chicago, and you'll do it with DeAndre Swift. I don't know if there'll be much splitting going on if Jeanty's here. I think it would be Jeanty's backfield with maybe a dash of Roschon Johnson more than you see Swift, because Swift still can't pass protect. So, and I think Ben Johnson knows that. But I mean, I would love this. I think the Bears are trying to beef up the offensive line too. They're another team that's like, I think if Will Campbell was there, they sprint up and take him. I think that's another interesting name for them. I know they invested in the offensive line, but man, again, best 5 enabler, and he could do that. I have looked at maybe tight end there, but I agree with you. That's like, I don't know, that feels a little too rich. Derek Harmon's been a name I like putting there to the Bears, maybe getting some defensive tackle juice. But Charles, what do you think about Jeanty to the Bears? Are you excited about that offense? You really put them in your top 10 right away?
Yeah, I mean, something tragic is going to happen. maybe like Jonah Jackson's probably not as good as you thought he was, or maybe you overshot like where you thought Drew Dalman was, and something's not going to be quite right because when you put on the Bears uniform, like your offense, you just get you lose like -10 on like all your offensive stats. So I think that this is going to be good for the Bears. Probably not good enough because that's just kind of how it goes for them. But I do think a stabilizing presence at running back would be a pretty good thing for this offense. We've seen what a Ben Johnson offense looks like when he has it's kind of like a bell cow back. He feels can run between the tackles. So the vision is already there. You can see it. It just depends on if these guys that they have acquired actually do it. Which after last year, I don't know. I'm going to be a little bit more trapped with my my prediction for the Bears this year.
My Bears takes. I know they're like. Yeah. I'm staying agnostic on them just until I see it. I'm excited.
Do it. Get on the field and do it.
I am bullish on them more than I was even last year, but I'm still just like no. I'm just not getting ahead of myself. Do like that they're trying to shore up the offensive line for their quarterback, that sub 6'2" quarterback that's some compared to Drew Brees. Maybe you get that interior offensive line. Maybe you get Drew Brees there, Reggie Bush. Get your Ashton Jeanty. Well, maybe a better career than Reggie Bush, but you guys get what I mean. We're going to take our first break though, and we're going to come back with the next 10 picks for.
The Yahoo Sports app is your ultimate draft day companion. With live activities, you can keep up with every pick without even unlocking your phone. Beef up on the incoming rookie class with expert analysis, grades, and prospect breakdowns. Download the Yahoo Sports app right now and get ready for draft night like a pro.
We are back with some more mock draft Monday, the final mock going into the NFL draft. I'm up, got the 49ers. Derek Harmon has been one of my kind of more favorite spots here, guys here, and then now he is gone. Actually, I'm going to go with another guy. Maybe I'm a little higher on him, but I just like the complementary skill set that he would have with Nick Bosa. I'm going to go with Mykel Williams, edge, Georgia. And this is a guy I might have, I have Mike Green a spot higher on my big board. There's offensive line is another spot I'm looking at here. Maybe Kelvin Banks is a guy I think we might have. No, we had him Bears. But Kelvin Banks is another name here. Josh Connolly is a guy I'm high on as well. But I'm going to go with Mykel Williams just because he's young. I think that he has the upside to be one of the best run defenders in the league. Just period. Not just rookies or anything, but like that upside throughout his career to be a plus run defender. I think he'll come into the league as a good run defender. I think his sack ability, ability to get after the passer is still developing, but the guy doesn't have bad plays. He works hard. He plays hard. You can tell he has a good feel for the game. I think he's versatile. He can kick inside on pass rush snaps, which I think that's what the 49ers love to do. If you're picturing he would be used almost like Eric Armstead was used for the 49ers. That's how I'm envisioning Mykel Williams for them. And I think they've needed that type of body type. And I think that's been what's missing for them. Bosa, great against the rush. Of course, one of the best pass rushers in the game. Can be kind of boom bust against the run. Now let's get an edge that's basically the opposite. Get the guy that's great against the run, that's kind of boom bust against the pass. I like that. I just think that makes Mykel's not for everybody, but he makes a lot of sense for me for the 49ers. And I just one of those team player pairings that I really like. Charles, we've had kind of a mix of guys going to the 49ers. Any other names maybe here that crop up, maybe offensive line or something?
Yeah, I think Connolly here makes sense from Oregon. I like Mykel a lot. And I think this works because he's a guy that I really like as like a true 4-3 defensive end, like hand in the dirt every play, if we can keep it that way. And I think that across from Nick Bosa, they can play off each other pretty well. And they need another young guy to develop along the defensive line, because I think they've kind of let things get away from them a little bit over the past couple of years by having guys get older and maybe not be able to replace them with guys that they've drafted all the time. So here's another shot at a round one edge, which hopefully will get their defense moving back towards the unit that it was a few years ago.
So their current starting four right now on defense lines: Nick Bosa, Then at defensive tackle, they have Jordan Elliott and Evan Anderson. And then at the other defensive end, they have Yetur Gross-Matos. So, okay. Yeah. Every time I look at it, I'm like, they signed somebody, right? Okay. Yeah, Drake Jackson. No, they've had him. Oh shoot!
No,
This is what
you got to take a defensive line round one. You have to basically,
right? And then you look at the corner situation isn't all that. Offensive line could shore some things up.
Yeah, John Lynch. What the hell, man? What you been up to?
Things to get away from him. Luckily, when you pay your quarterback, it gets a lot easier. That's why I've heard. I heard it gets a lot easier.
Stop letting the coach burn a third rounder on a running back every other year. I mean,
wow.
They've got 2 third rounders this year, so get ready.
I'm now that I'm actually looking at the 49ers offseason, I'm like, whoa.
Oh yeah.
They didn't really do all that much.
No, it's a reset.
It's interesting.
It's more of a revamp than I think people realize. Yeah. They know that too. And they know they're in a whole new world, but it's good. Yeah. They need to eat some veggies for the next few months, maybe the next year.
Taking their medicine for a year.
Yeah, that's kind of what they do. But it'll be fun. I'm curious how they go about it. This draft should be really interesting for them. Charles, you're up next. You have the Cowboys, who have been kind of broadcasting who they're going to take here, but you can go any which way you want.
Yeah. Jeanty would have been fun. Jeanty would have been very fun. I think here, you know what, we're gonna do a Jerry special. Take maybe a little bit of a risk on a player who's been pegged pretty highly on in the past, but now that's on a little bit. We're gonna take Will Johnson here and bet that he can get back to his 2023 form of being one of the best cornerbacks in the world. And hope that Micah Parsons and the rage of infinite fury that he has can drag us back to being a competent defense like it did in the back half of last season. I just really like. I was just thinking about it. I kind of like the fit with Trevon Diggs, or even giving you some cushion if this Trevon Diggs is a guy you want to move on from in the near future. And obviously, whenever you have a pass rusher like Micah Parsons, I don't think it's a bad idea to have more players who can play off of him. And if Will Johnson can get back to the 2023 form, then you have one of the best pass rushers in NFL history paired with a top flight cornerback, which always gives you a high ceiling as a defense. So maybe I don't know if I've seen too many people taking a cornerback here for the Cowboys, but I'm just going to take a bet on the upside and take Will Johnson here.
You're rectifying the Ezekiel Elliott over Jalen Ramsey pick 10 years later. That's kind of what you're doing.
Just in time.
No, I think a corner like Johnson benefits from a pass rush that Parsons provides, because Johnson reads the game so well, and he can, he doesn't, his recovery ability is his big knock, but it's the thing is, if he's a guy that can game quarterbacks, watch the USC game this past year. So now you got a pass rush heating up the quarterback. The quarterback has to get the ball out in 2 seconds. Boom. Gamer corners are able to take advantage of it. Diggs was the guy that took advantage of it. Deron Bland is taking advantage of it. It's just those guys in those defense. So if they went offense here, receiver, Matt, do you really just picture them taking Golden here? Like, that kind of seems like their guy. Like, what would you think about that fit? If McMillan is off the board, obviously, and they go Golden, what do you think about the Golden fit with the Cowboys offense?
I will just say that I actually kind of like, I have some questions about Will Johnson overall, and I hope you've noticed, Nate, that I did this whole thing with Jahdae Barron just to get like one of my predictions correct about the draft, because in saying that one defensive back is going to go ahead of Will Johnson from the spicy predictions episode. That's all. That's what this was all about here.
Let's hold off a quarterback so I can get to mine.
Correct, exactly. But yeah, for Will Johnson, I actually kind of think this fits better than going receiver here, because DB is. Okay. I feel like every Cowboys fan has talked themselves into like, we're going offense at 12 and we're going to go like wide receiver, running back in the first 2 rounds. But yeah, Charles laid it out like Diggs is a guy that you might like move on from here pretty soon. Like, he has not stayed on the field and is on
he might not even play at the start of this season. He just has surgery.
Exactly. Yeah, like DB is a huge need for this team as much as like wide receiver 2 or running back is. So I definitely think that like this makes more sense to me than going Golden at 12. And I think if they go Golden, that's fine with me. I do think he fits really well with what they're going to want to do. And I think he complements CeeDee Lamb well. I think I can, if we have to talk through that pick on Thursday night, I can definitely talk through that pick and understand it. But I think Johnson here and then a like wide receiver in the second round, you could find somebody that I'd probably have in the same tier as Golden. I don't dislike Golden. I just think there are a lot of guys available in the second round that I really, really like.
That's kind of how I've been. It's like I'd much rather them take one on day 2 than at 12. I mean, they could go trenches. Like they go DN, D tackle, offensive line. I've been like, yeah, that's where you should go, opposed to a receiver. I do think they need a number 2 receiver. I think everyone's in agreement on that, and they need speed in their receiver room. But it's like, I don't know, 12 for Golden's a little rich to me, as opposed to late first, early second. So I know I like this pick, Charles. I'm like you said, not a lot of people have gone corner for them because I think everyone's been Jeanty, running back, or receiver, which was McMillan or Golden. Like that's kind of, even I've fallen into that. So it's a good thing to will poke at. And I mean, Dante Fowler start them for them at edge. Marcus Lawrence is gone. Like Mike Green's there. Mike Green and Micah Parsons would make a lot of magic together. Maybe get that edge group going. Matt, you have the Miami Dolphins at pick 13. Let's hear what you got.
Yeah. I have had this one earmarked since I figured out I was going to have the 13th pick here. We're going Josh Connerly at the 13th overall pick here. I think he has the fluidity, the movement skills, the athleticism to fit in this zone-heavy run scheme. And has anybody seen their offensive line depth chart for, I don't know, like the last 2 years? It's so bad. Month? So, I mean, like, worse I mean, the last month it's getting worse. It's only getting worse. So, I think Josh Connerly, 21 years old, he's coming off the best football of his collegiate career at the end of last season. Like, you want to say that this is a guy who is on the upswing. You can talk me into that. Absolutely. So, I love this pick for Miami here. And I hope this is what they do at the 13th pick on Thursday night.
Yeah, they've kind of been looking a little DB. It seems like, rumored some safeties and stuff. I'd much prefer them going offensive line. Eat your steak. Eat your beef, Shanahan guys. Draft linemen. You need talent up there to survive. Patrick Paul is probably slated to be left tackle right now. I actually like Patrick Paul when he had to play last year. I liked him coming out of college. He's got so much length and everything, so he can maybe stick it there. But Austin Jackson and Liam Eichenberg at guard, neither of those guys. Yeah, neither of those guys am I going like, yeah, you can't take a guy because those guys have to play. No. Connerly is much better than that. So really like this pick, Matt. I think we're all high on Connerly too, as a collective as well. And I'm including my dad on that. Connerly Dolphins. What were you going to say, Chuck?
I like this pick because it keeps Patrick Paul at right tackle too. He gets to stay there. Connerly can play left tackle, but when Teron Armstead retires, you're looking at I'm sorry, you just can't have those guys starting on your offensive line.
No,
if you want to be serious, so you have to draft them here. I think. Like I think they're at a spot, honestly, where they have to take an offensive tackle. I don't really think any other spot makes sense, and you're still probably going to get a good guy too. So just like you said, eat your steak, eat your veggies. It's going to be fine. Yeah. It's going to be better for you in the long run.
They're set, and they're in the perfect spot to take one of these guys, whether it's Connerly or Banks or something like that. This is exactly where you might not get those top 2 guys, but you're going to get your pick of the litter of the next group, which hopefully they're doing their homework on. All right, I get the next pick. God dang it, because I wanted to go corner for the Colts, and I wanted to go Will Johnson for the Colts. So I have the Colts at pick 14. God, am I defaulting to what everyone's doing and giving them a corner?
Don't do it. Don't do it. No, this is what we will do. Don't do it. Don't do it.
You're right. This is what we will do. You know what they really, really, really need, I think, is an interior offensive lineman. God, but man, they invested so much in that. I do want to go corner. It's a little rich for that. This is tough. because I was going to go Calvin Banks here. Let me just talk this out real quick. Our producers love this. I was going to go Calvin Banks here and just go offensive line, guard, and everything. But it's like they've already invested a lot in those interior guys, and I know who likes to protect their draft picks. That's Chris Ballard. Screw it. Sorry, Matt. I'm doing it. I'm going tight end. Colson Loveland, Michigan, Colts. Just because, because why not? I do like him. I don't actually really love this fit. I actually like him with better other spots. I'm ruining it for myself. No, but I really like Colson Loveland because I think he's a true wide tight end that actually can split out and beat corners and safeties as a receiver, can play in the slot. I just really like it. I think that too is that real potential as an inline guy doesn't have to be hidden on a lot of RPOs. I think Steichen with the Patriots, with the Eagles and then the Colts, he's really used was very RPO heavy. Let's keep Dallas Goedert out of the blocking here. Okay, now we got undersized tight ends. We had Granson. Okay, we got to keep him out of blocking. Now we get a guy that can actually legit do these things. And now we can add to our run game, top being that underneath receiver. I get where you're going with this, Matt. They have invested so much in receiver. They have so many mouths to feed. They already have a slot receiver that kind of overlaps with this with Josh Downs. They already have Pittman. They already have Alec Pierce. They have A.D. Mitchell. They're trying to get snaps. But I think this is just one of these things they've talked themselves into. I like the player a lot. I really do. And I just can see this maybe happening. So I'll go with Colson Loveland. Maybe it's just a lack of imagination on my part. Where would you go here, Matt? Will Johnson getting selected really screwed me up here because I was like Siobhan Ravel at pick 14. Siobhan, that's just a little early for him. So where would you go, Matt?
I'm not responsible for telling you what I would do. I'm just responsible for.
No, I want to hear it. I want to hear it.
I'm just saying, man. Like you're worried about him being hidden in the scheme. Or I'll tell you, if he's going to be hidden in the stat sheet because Danny Dimes isn't getting into football. Anthony Richardson's not getting into football, so you don't got to worry about that. I would just take like another edge rusher here, like this. Like at this point, Jalen Walker's fallen this far. Like I would go that direction. Like they could still use the pass rush help. I know he's probably the problem is Ballard is such a weird drafter because he's so traits heavy. But that's another reason why with the tight ends, like is Ballard taking one of these two tight ends who didn't test in the offseason? I don't know. I mean, that's just a big part of his drafting philosophy. So I would go edge rusher here if I was Indianapolis.
Wow, you're really mad. You're so mad.
I know. No, they draft Leatu Latu last year. Already give up on him with Kwity Paye.
I mean, giving up. Give him someone to run with.
Give him someone to run with. True. I know. Actually, edge rusher like Mike Green would be a good call here too. That's another one. Or Shamar Stewart because freaking Ballard loves the traits and everything as well. So yeah, those picks as well. So that was my first kind of like shrug of the shoulder pick I have right here with Colson Loveland. And I just ruined it because I like him fitting on a lot of other teams. But it's off of me, off of the Loveland pick. Charles, you have the Falcons. Did we plan this? Yeah. Was this you, Stone? All right. You got the Falcons. What do you got? Pick 15. G. Who's still Mike there? Green. And what do they need? Yeah, there Mike we
go. Sneak pass rush. Mike Green, rush passer. There we go.
That's it. I think that was my write-up in the mock draft, too, because I think we had Mike Green going there, too. And I just said, they need sacks. Mike Green gets after the passer. Done. You have 17 and a half sacks last year. They need sacks. Let's do it. True pass rusher, all that. I don't think the character stuff they're worried about. I don't think anyone is. So, yeah, Mike Green, I like this pick. Matt, any thoughts? The Falcons want to go receiver or running back or tight end again?
No. Nope. All defensive draft. That's what's been coming for the Falcons. And
that's right. That was your prediction. Yeah,
correct.
Matt's manifesting all these. Yeah, 17 sacks last year, as you see on the screen. Good player. Let's go to the Cardinals, Matt. They're a fun team. They could do some interesting things in this draft. I'm really curious actually where they end up selecting because a lot of them make sense. But where would you go for the Arizona Cardinals?
Agree. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of ways I can kind of talk this out here. And, I think an edge rusher would make sense. There's still a couple on the board here. There's a couple, like a guy like Walker is a bit of a, fungible piece that I think would be interesting in this defense. Walter Nolan is like a interior disruptor, could be really fun. But I've been a big Jihad Campbell guy the entire draft process since the combine. That's the card I would turn in here at 16. Again, he's somebody who can give you versatility as a blitzer. He's somebody who I think can develop as a pass coverage player in the middle of your defense, but it's just a tone setter. Like I think this defense has some interesting pieces, and I think the defense from a structure and conceptual standpoint has some interesting ideas. You've got hopefully a guy here that can turn some of those ideas into a reality on the field a little bit more often than they have so far in the Gannon era. So yeah, this is the guy I would pick here.
Campbell, one of our favorite players. Chuck, we talked about him a ton. I think everyone really likes Campbell. What do you think about him with the Cardinals? Or maybe I should say is like, how do you see him getting used in that defense too? Because I think it's a fun defense, but why would he be highlighted there? I should say.
I think Jihad Campbell makes a whole lot of sense in this defense, just because like they did a whole lot of everything on defense last year, just trying to figure out what works for them in the long run. So having a linebacker that can do a little bit of everything, even if, like Matt said, he has room to grow as a coverage player, it makes a whole lot of sense. So just getting tougher, getting faster, being a little bit more aggressive versus the blitz, and Campbell can do all those things.
All right, I am up next. Whew. This is the Bengals at pick 17. No matter what, I'm looking at defensive line here. Guard, maybe I'm looking at a little bit, like Kelvin Banks or something like that, but I'm going defensive line here, and I'm deciding between Shamar Stewart at edge and Walter Nolan from Ole Miss. No matter what, we're drafting a toolsy project for the Bengals here. We're going for tilting the shoulder back and swinging away. I'm going to go. God, I just think they need defensive tackle. You know what? Not going Walter Nolan. I'm going Kenneth Grant, defensive tackle, Michigan.
Ooh.
That's because I prefer him a little bit over Nolan, and this is what we would do, not what I think the league is going to do. And I'm going to go with Kenneth Grant for them. Yes, they re-signed BJ Hill. Yes, they drafted Chris Jenkins last year. Yes, they signed TJ Slayton. None of those guys preclude you from drafting a Kenneth Grant, because I just think he has the long-term upside to just not only be a plugger and really help the run game. We got to remember, this run defense was simply atrocious last year. And it was a problem because of the whole entire defensive front, the linebacker play, and the safeties. It was the whole spine of the defense. I think the Bengals have to shore up the spine. Yes, you signed Slayton, but Slayton, again, is more of just kind of like, hey, we need a starter there. We need to eat some snaps up. So if you get Grant, who I think has that plugger ability, but also has more to him, I think that's why I'm bullish on him. I think Charles is very bullish on him. That's been one of his guys throughout this process, is that because he has some stuff where it's like he could be a 6+ sack guy from the inside. Yeah, it'd be crazy, and that's a high upside thing. But again, he can contribute against the pass, can be disruptive as long as being the plugger and holding up against blocks and everything. And I think the Bengals desperately need that more than anything. They just need a guy that can eat blocks so they can be fast and everybody else can be unlocked a little bit. All right, Charles, the Seattle Seahawks are now on the clock. Pick 18. Who are you going for them? And remember, Stone is listening intently to this.
Oh boy, here at 18. We'll go with Gray. I've heard his name pronounced so many different times now.
Zabel.
Is Gray Zabel?
Zabel. Yep, it's Zabel.
Yes. From North Dakota State. So I think this is kind of a perfect fit because maybe the one position you don't see Gray Zabel playing as an offensive lineman in the NFL as left tackle, which is like the one spot the Seahawks don't need. So I think you just draft him and figure it out in camp what the best spot is for him and the best spot for your team, which is probably a good fit for where Seattle is right now. Just kind of a lineman that fits whatever you're trying to do here, because you already have left tackles figured out, and he gives you versatility to figure out the other four spots.
Yeah, it's Zabel. I was talking with my dad, and I actually, because I looked at him as a center. It was on one spot he hasn't played, but I was like, oh, he looks like a center to me. And my dad kind of have a nice little kind of plan for him, just talking about, well, he hasn't had game reps there. This is how I would do it. Right now, the Seahawks have a center, Oluwatimi, who, if you ever hear me know the name, that's how you know I like him. So Oluwatimi stepped in last year in the second half of the season and really did a nice job. Not a true needle-moving center, but a fine starter at center, better than what they had. And what I like, if Zabel were to go there, yes, he's instantly slotted at one of the guard spots. We'll see what happens with Christian Haynes. We'll figure out the rest. But instantly slots at one of the guard spots. But now, if Oluwatimi kind of flatlines, if a better guard presents himself down the road a year or two from now, again, just like the same argument with Campbell, Zabel is a best 5 enabler. Maybe a best 4 enabler if you're not considering left tackle, or maybe best 3 enabler if you're just saying the interior. But it's the same argument Graham Barton was for me. I like Barton better last year. Same argument, though, that this guy is, yeah, we can keep him a guard, bump him to center, or at some way, shape, or form, he's going to be starting in that interior 3 and make sure we get our best guys out there and maybe be a needle mover at that point, too. It's not like he's just okay at those spots, too. So, like Zabel a lot. I've been kind of flirting with them taking a tight end for a few months now. So that's one I've manifested a little bit for there. Maybe just because I want a prediction right back from January when everyone laughed at me. So maybe I'm spiteful. But Matt, you're up next with the Bucks, and Jihad Campbell is off the board. You cannot give them Jihad Campbell, which has been my lazy pick for them every single week when we do mocks. So who are you going with the Bucks here at pick 19? It's the easiest one. It's the easiest player fit, team fit in this entire draft.
My only regret for taking Campbell at 16 for the Cardinals that I can't also take him here at 19 with the Bucks.
Yep.
Yeah, a couple different options I'm kind of kicking around here. I have one wild pick, but I'm not gonna do that one. I think I'll go with Jalen Walker here. Again, somebody that I think they can use at multiple spots. He can be a blitzer for them. I actually think if he he doesn't normally fall this far in many mocks, but I think if he falls to Todd Bowles here, this actually could be a really good spot for him because they can use him off the ball and just say, hey, just go hunt the quarterback, man. So they obviously need assigning Hassan Reddick. Like, that's not a end all solution for your pass rush problems. Walker, he is a guy that I think could struggle in terms of just like reaching a true elite ceiling as an edge rusher, but he is certainly going to help this defense in year one and hopefully can continue to get stronger and develop as a pass rusher in the NFL.
Yeah, Walker, tweener is if you don't like him. Versatile is if you do like him. That's how you want to go about it. I just want him in my front 7, some way, shape, or form. Not going to be perfect for everybody, but Cardinals is one of those defenses I really liked him for. The Chiefs would have been a defense I really like him for. The Bucks is another defense I really like him for because just what you just laid out. He is, Todd Bowles' defense makes ton of sense. He can be used like how Devin White was used. And rush the running back or just be a designed pressure guy like that. That's what you do. Play some coverage stuff. We mitigate some of your other weaknesses. I don't think we've done Walker to the Bucks, but this one I like a lot. I feel like there's not.
I almost flipped Walker and Campbell. I almost flipped Walker and Campbell, just like I would have gone Walker at 16 and then Campbell here. And I think that honestly might make a little bit more sense, but it's what we would do. And I just think Campbell's a better prospect.
I love it. You like Walker too, Chuck, and maybe I think I can't remember where you have him on your board. I think I'm like a little 16,
17.
Yeah, I'm okay. So I'm slightly higher. So yeah, kind of right in your range. You like this fit too here with the Bucks?
Yeah, he's a good player. He's a quality player. And I think that just the whole massive skills that he has would fit well in them both defense. Where maybe if there's a guy who can figure out what spot is best for you. Bowles is one of those guys. I still think like he's probably got a little work to do in terms of like natural feel of being like a true off the ball linebacker. But if you're going to have him in a defense, you want him in one that has the players moving forward a lot and trying to wreak havoc in the backfield, and that's this one.
We'll leave it there. That's a great way to put it. He's best going forward, so make him go forward. Get him in a defense that's constantly going forward and attacking. He wants to be attacking. All right, I have the Broncos here at pick 20. Before we take our last break, it's either running back or tight end. So I'm either deciding between Amari Hampton from North Carolina or Tyler Warren, tight end from Penn State. I'm going Hampton. I want them to have a running back. I want them to have a running back that's a needle mover. And that to me is Hampton, who's running back 2 for me. I think it's the consensus running back 2 as well. I've compared him to Joe Mixon in the past, and I think he can bring that kind of skill set they want a guy that can eat some touches. Sean Payton will always split his running backfield. So maybe Hampton is a little like, I can maybe prefer as the 1A in the backfield. But man, it can catch the ball as well, can just do a little bit of everything. He's going to be able to take the hard touches that Javonte Williams kind of wasted last year. But man, they're there, and Hampton's going to take full advantage of him. Obviously, I think they're going to maybe try and get Jeanty in some way, shape, or form. Maybe they move up for somebody else that they have their eyes on, maybe McMillan or something like receiver. But I think offensive weapon is an easy fit for the Broncos. Going with Hampton here. Thought about Warren, but still going Hampton just because I think Sean Payton really wants that juicy running back there. Any other backs here? I know Travion Henderson's getting some hype. Any other backs maybe for the Broncos that you guys like, Matt or Charles, that you guys think maybe would be a better fit? I think Hampton's the dude, though.
Yeah,
this is what I would do.
Make a lot of sense here.
Sweet. Thank you for the affirmation, guys. I really appreciate it. Let's do this more. All right, we're going to take our last break, and then we're going to come back to round up the first round of our mock draft. We are back. We're going to blitz through these last 12-ish picks of the first round. We're going with the Steelers. Charles, who do you got for the Steelers?
I'm going to do it. Yeah, we're going to take Shedeur here.
Okay.
I don't really love this pick for them here. I don't know if I'm in love with the fit, but they've pigeonholed themselves into a spot where you can't have a team that is built out in other facets on the defense, and you've traded for DK Metcalf, and just to roll with like Mason Rudolph, like, come on. Yeah, you have to at least give yourself a better shot than that. So I think as far as we know right now, you have to not assume, but you can't presume that Aaron Rodgers is going to be a quarterback here. Adam Schefter has linked Kirk Cousins to the Steelers and to the Vikings as well. So I think this is just we got to protect ourselves here a little bit. We don't quite know what's going on yet. So we're going to take Shedeur here and at least give ourselves a chance to have somebody better than Mason Rudolph to start under center.
They got to take a QB, right? not just round one, but sometime in this draft, early in this draft. Yeah. You mentioned Rodgers. They're inquiring about Kirk Cousins, so we'll see with Cousins' movement on draft weekend. That's either, like you said, they put themselves in a bad spot. They got to reach on a quarterback that's either old and Tyler Shuck or a project, which is everybody else. It's not like some guy where it's like, yeah, this guy's ready made and we saw him right in. So it's, and I think Shedeur is a project. I really do. A project as a passer, as a pocket passer. Like that's where he has to continue to get to where he wants. So, it's rich. It's rich on any of these QBs. Yeah. And I wanted my prediction to come true with only one in the first round, which still might happen. We'll see. Jackson Dart backed out of Green Bay. I noticed. Noticers are noticing. So we'll see. But yeah, Shedeur here, Steelers. Maybe a second corner for them. I think they're going to go running back in day 2 because they've had 14 running backs for top 30 visits, which is not that much of an exaggeration. Let's move on to the Chargers, though, who, Matt, it's your pick. The Colson Loveland's not there. Kenneth Grant's not there. I'm just taking away all the Michigan guys for you. Who are you going with the Chargers here?
I will stick with the tight end position, though, and I'm going to go Tyler Warren here, who has fallen pretty far in our draft, but I think this makes a lot of sense. Tyler Warren, I think, has gone a little bit overstated as a inline blocker, but he is a mismatch move-around weapon. Mm-hmm. Not too dissimilar to Mark Andrews, who obviously Greg Roman obviously was super successful and productive with in Baltimore. So I think you can kind of deploy him in some similar ways, and he'll give you some plays after the catch. And I think that's what will be nice about this Chargers receiver room. As much as they need some perimeter separation, Ladd McConkey gives you separation at all 3 levels, but he is a tackle breaker, but I don't know how much I want to be like, let's design some screens and underneath stuff to Ladd McConkey so we can continue to just get more punishment on his little body. Let's get a big dude in here that we can do some of that stuff with, and that is Tyler Warren. And also, by the way, the fact they have Will Dissly, who they were very comfortable playing a lot last year, allows them to do some fun 12 personnel things and keep a true inline tight end on the field and move Tyler Warren around. So I actually think if the board fell this way for Los Angeles, I think this would be a great fit that kind of checks multiple boxes for their offense.
in last year, and I remember we talked about this, middle of last year, I think you and I on your show, Matt, had like a little bit of like Chargers offense talk. And they want, and then I think I was like, they're going to be in heavier personnel. And you're like, actually, they're more of an 11 personnel team. Like that, just kind of they want to be a 2 tight end or a fullback team, a 21-12 team. They want you to be big bodied and get big body defense out there and attack those big body defense, the big body defenders, the linebackers that have to be out there. When you have 2 receiving only tight ends, defenses may not feel that threat. But if you have a Dissly and then you got a Warren, okay, am I going to really trust my DB to hold up against this? Am I going to trust my slot guy? And I'm not talking about passing game. I'm talking about run game stuff. Because, Warren's inline stuff, you brought it up, talked about a little bit in the past. I think that his blocking is best on the move, best when he's in motion, and best when he's against linebackers and DBs, not edge players. That's why I gave Loveland the bump. But you get him on the move, get it creative with it, have another tight end on the roster that can unlock those things. Yeah. All about that. A great shout with the Andrews thing too. Like that makes a lot of sense too, as far as how he can be used. So they like having their tight ends on the move as not only just blockers, but route running as well. Think of all the sail routes Dissly caught last year, the corner routes over there, crossers and everything. I think Warren's best on those where he can get on the move and use his body control and stuff. So really like this pick. I think tight end makes it a lot of sense for them. McMillan would actually be a lot of fun there too, because him and Ladd McConkey would make some sweet music in the receiver room with Justin Herbert. But we'll see. Another team that might like McMillan a lot is who I got here, Green Bay Packers, pick 23. And I just spent way too much time talking about Tyler Warren that I didn't even think about a player here. I think they're looking. If McMillan fell to them, I think they definitely look there. But I think they are going trenches or corner. Like those are positions I look at for them. Is this the Shamar Stewart spot? Might be. Let me look. This might be it for them. God, another project edge.
That'll make Justice so happy.
What, another? Oh, that's right. I'm doing it for our boy Justice. I can't believe I'm doing something for Justice. There we go. But I'm going to do it for our boy Justice. He likes Shamar Stewart more than I do.
No, just to be clear, Justice thinks Shamar Stewart should be the first pick in the draft.
He thinks he's like absolute game wrecker type. He thinks he's next coming. Maybe get some glasses on him. Maybe they can get some. Maybe work on that vision a little bit with Stewart. No, but I'm going to go with here. They need pass rushers. They could go a lot of directions on defense. I was looking at Savon Ravel maybe here at corner for them as well. But I think Stewart here, I'm comfortable with. Taking him in the 20s, way more comfortable taking Stewart there as opposed to top 10. Like that's the difference that I have maybe with some other people how they evaluate him. So I'm going to go with Stewart. I just want them to have beef. Maybe just get another talented guy. Maybe Lucas Van Ness will work out finally. So let's get another project-y edge rusher in here and see if he can figure it out. But going there with Stewart. Don't think they offensively. Maybe offensive line, maybe, but I think they're going to wait for day 2 on that. So, yeah, that's it for the Packers. I kind of want McMillan there, though. That's my fan fiction. If we're talking about fan fiction, that's mine. I'm trying to manifest that. I want Tatiura McMillan on the Green Bay Packers. All right, moving on over in the NFC North, formerly the NFC Central, Minnesota Vikings. Charles, maybe a trade candidate here, but we're not doing trades. So let's wrap this up. Charles McDonald, Minnesota Vikings. Where are you going at pick 24 for the Vikings in the first round?
I'm going to take Walter Nolan here. I think it makes a lot of sense just for you signed John Allen and Javon Hargrave this offseason. Yeah. I think to me, those are good moves. I feel a little wary about the Hargrave signing. I don't know where he is right now. And either way, even if those guys were at the top of their game, you still need a long-term fit with their age and where they are in their careers. So we're going to go with Walter. I think this makes a whole lot of sense because this is a guy who likes to be aggressive, attack, get upfield. And in Brian Flores' defense, maybe there's more opportunities for one-on-one blocks where he can use his speed out in the open field and make some tackles for loss. So I think it kind of helps to have potentially 2 sturdier players playing with him because he's going to be a guy that takes his chances and tries to get up the field and having maybe some veteran guys a little bit calmer and play within the rules a little bit more will be good for him. But the playmaking ability is still something the Vikings need, and he's got that at least.
Saying that he's calmer than a player whose nickname is the Gravedigger is pretty fun. Yeah, but no, you're right. And Jonathan Allen's got a full cage face mask. No, God, I haven't thought about this fit. This is a really good one for Nolan.
Yeah,
like this one where because he needs time to kind of hone it all in, and also all the movement they do with the defensive linemen. They like to slant their guys and everything. That's where Nolan's a weapon on. So yeah, I like this one a lot for them, Charles. You're up next, Matt, with the Houston Texans. Josh Carnaway's gone. That's the guy I've really liked for them. Any other offensive lineman maybe for them, or where else are you going to go for the Houston Texans?
Yeah, there's some receivers I like in this spot. I think Emeka Egbuka would be great, but I'm going to be mature here, and I'm going to focus on the trenches for the Houston Texans. I don't remember. I mean, God, there's just been so many pre-draft conversations. I have no idea, when or where some of them occurred. But I was talking about this with someone recently where I think Josh Simmons makes a lot of sense for Houston because they have Cam Robinson there, and like Cam Robinson is. Right. Maybe not a full-time solution, maybe not a long-term solution, maybe not even like an acceptable. So I think actually, Charles, you and I might have been talking about this on the offensive line preview on the fantasy pod. There we go. I found it. So Josh Simmons, we talked about this, like Cam Robinson might be just a temporary solution, but that allows you, hey, if Simmons is coming back a little slow from this injury, like we can onboard him at a more acceptable pace. But in the long term, this is your left tackle that you really, really need here for Houston.
No, I that timeline makes a lot of sense. Like I think the Simmons landing spots, because it's a patellar tendon, which is not a nothing injury. It's not like in the meniscus or something where it's like, okay, we can come back from this. It's pretty serious. Texans and Chiefs make a ton of sense because Chiefs, what they've done, they signed a little stopgap in the offseason, but that, again, does not preclude you from taking a long-term left tackle. I think the marching orders are offensive line for the Texans. So I think the offensive lineman is their answer here, or what they're going to go with. Who it is, don't know. Simmons, though, ton of talent, top 15 talent. It's just all the other stuff that you have to gauge where you're at with him. So I like this a lot. Going with the Rams, that's me. God, I've been really liking going, I think they should draft an offensive lineman because I just think that they should add some juice there. And I'm going to go with Kelvin Banks. I actually think this is a good fit.
Damn, that's what I was going to take for the Ravens.
Yeah, actually, I was like, oh yeah, he's on. I was like, he's still on the board. Let's do this. They're kind of a sneaky tight end team for me a little bit too. But I think the top two guys. I don't know if Mason Taylor would be totally their bag. We'll see. They could go DB would be another position I would maybe look at here, but I think Kelvin Banks makes sense. You could start him at guard and then take over Rob Havenstein when he moves on with his career. Rob's been still a nice, solid starter. He's now battling some injuries, but it's been there forever. Shoot, I played with him in college. That's how old Rob Havenstein is. Yeah, I know.
Ancient.
His nickname was Crab at Wisconsin because he was from Maryland. And Maryland do best? Football and crab cakes. We just shortened it to crab. Kelvin Banks though. There's your look at some more juice on the offense. There's side Devontae Adams too. So let's beef up the offensive line, get a needle mover, get an injection of talent that can maybe either play tackle long term, but at the very least can be an interior player for us, and has the size that I think McVay's not like other Shanahan guys. He likes beef up front as opposed to just finesse guys. So Banks makes some sense for them. Next pick, Ravens. Banks off the board though. We're going to go with there, Charles.
I will go with Malachi Starks from Georgia safety. I don't know. He's kind of an interesting fit with Kyle Hamilton, but I do think that they could play off each other pretty well. And also Kyle Hamilton, he can do anything on the football field. So, even if you think that Starks is best close to the line of scrimmage, I still think that there's room for Kyle Hamilton to be still a game-breaking player in that defense. After you lose Marcus Williams, you cut him in the offseason. I think we saw that the other safety, the third safety that they had last year, Darius Washington, he's a nice player. He's a little limited, at times.
You realize why he was a career special teamer?
yeah. I mean, he's 5'8". You know, he's trying his best out there, but I think you could use an upgrade at safety next to Kyle Hamilton. So this kind of feels like one of those Ravens things where, I guess Malachi Starks just kind of fell in our laps. Played a lot of good football at Georgia, and I think he'll continue to do it in the
NFL. Shoot, even if they wanted to say, let's keep Washington in the back end. Okay, well then Hamilton and or Starks can be the slot, and we can bump out Marlon Humphrey to the outside now. Like that, I mean, that's nice. We talk about best 5 enablers with offensive line. Malachi Starks is like a best 5 enabler for, maybe best 3 enabler, safeties in the slot spot as well. But he makes a lot of sense for the Ravens. I actually really like this. Him and Hamilton have some versatility as well, but they kind of get to it differently. Starks maybe has a little bit more speed and everything. I don't know. Hamilton's very rangy and long, but I like this one a lot. A few months ago kind of was thinking about it, but I thought Starks would be gone by then. But now it really seems like he'll be there at pick 27. So this one makes sense. That or offensive line, like that. That's kind of what I've kind of circled for them. Matt, Lions, pick 28. What do you got?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Tyler Booker here. They lose Kevin Zeitler in the offseason. This is a team that always wants to keep that offensive line strong. It just feels like he is the mentality, like the physicality on the offensive line that a guy like Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes would really like. And like I realize, obviously, from an athletic standpoint, he does not pass the test. He might not be great on some of these, but they do so much. I know they're a zone team, and like typical at times, and they do a little bit of everything. And at times you think they do everything, but like some of those zone plays, they really mobilize the tackles. Like they'll pull Penei Sewell and all this like fun stuff. So I think ultimately they can get him in there and really, again, they might lean into more gap stuff down the line. I think that would perfectly make sense with a back like Jahmyr Gibbs. Like let's blow those lanes open with Booker and give him some real holes to explode through. And ultimately, again, from an athletic standpoint, he might not pass the test, but Brad Holmes has been willing to take quote unquote risks at times before. So I think this just makes a lot of sense. Again, continue to make a strength stronger.
Yeah, no, that this is, he's not going to be a fit for everyone, because I think anyone that has worked for Kyle Shanahan in their resume, Booker is not going to be in there because he's not going to be a zone heavy run scheme guy. Guess what? Most teams are shifting away from zone heavy. They were going a little bit more power and gap. So Booker is going to fit. He fits for the Lions, like what they want to do. They like beef. They like size. I think they prefer that even more than speed. And Booker's he's a good football player, and he's big and strong and has strengths. It's just that his weaknesses or his blemishes aren't going to be for everyone. Everyone's not going to tolerate that as much as others will. So I think they go line trenches somewhere. Like I could see him going opposite edge off of Hutchinson. I could see him going guard. Like all of these make sense to me. God, who am I going to go with? Because I am up next with the Washington Commanders. I actually have been liking Malachi Starks there a little bit. I've also just been really, really, really looking at their long-term edge prospects, and also just other aspects of their team. Safety is another spot I've looked at for them. Maybe even offensive line. Stall. I'm going to go with. They need a pass rusher. I'm going to go with Donovan Eziraku from Boston College. Donovan Eziraku, Boston College. Long, maybe not perfectly what Dan Quinn always likes with his pass rushers, but he plays hard and he's got length and he's got some pass rush moves. I think Dan Quinn will like that. I think they want maybe some more edge guys that can truly get after the passer for them. Another position I looked at, if Malachi Starks was here, I'd really like him for there. Or, Nick Manowari. Again, this is what I would do. I would not take Nick Manowari in the first round, so I'm not taking there. But safety is another spot that they can maybe look at as well. Offensive line too. Maybe they want to go offensive line here. There's some interesting names like Donovan Jackson or something of that sort. As a guy that maybe this year they could figure out their best 5 on the long term. But I'm going to go here. I'm going to go with Eziraku. I just think that they want guys that can get after the passer, and he can get after the passer. Not really much else there. They're such an interesting team because they made all those free agents or trades and stuff this offseason. So it's kind of really shifted the draft thinking. So I'm curious where they end up going to. All right. Last 3 picks. Let's bring it home, guys. Charles, Buffalo Bills. Who you got for them?
I'm going to Trey Amos, Ole Miss cornerback.
Nice.
Yeah, I know they signed. Oh my God, I just
forgot
his name.
You got it.
Bedford, the cornerback. They gave
Christian
the
Bedford,
extension. Christian Bedford, yeah.
It's because he wears 47. So, that's why you're like you can't.
Yes. It's like my brain sees him and goes, "Oh, that's UDFA." But no, he's actually.
You're right, though.
Yeah, it's that special team we're doing out there.
Yeah, 47. What the hell is that?
Yeah. And I know if I were a quarterback in the slot corner with 47, I am targeting him. That is exactly who I'm going after.
I don't even need to know your name. I don't need to watch the film.
Nope.
I see cornerback 47 going after you. But Amos, I think that would be a good fit across from Medford. He's just a really good football player. It's funny because I'm I don't remember which show it was where we were talking about him, but I compared him to AJ Terrell, and then if you look up like his combine, he had a damn similar combine to AJ Terrell. Maybe not the most explosive guy, but moves well. Just has really good ball skills, for lack of a better term, just knows how to play football pretty well. So I think that he fits in that cornerback room. And I mean, the Bills, they just re-signed Davius White, so they need some help at cornerback, I think, obviously in a pretty big way.
Yeah, no, I like Amos a lot. I think this is exactly his range. Would not be shocked if he sneaks in the first round just like this. Pick 30. This makes a lot of sense. Really like Amos. Like, I just do. Like, I think a lot of people, once you watch him, you're like, oh, this guy's just a ball player. And then tested better than you would even think. So I think, Amos, like this a lot. Bills need it. They can go a few spots. That would make sense too. I'm curious where they end up pushing in this draft. All right, Matt, you got the Chiefs, pick 31, defending AFC champion, 3-time defending AFC champion. Who are you going with the Chiefs? They probably have character concerns. You can narrow it down.
James Pierce, come on down. No, actually, not the worst idea in the world.
Actually, I know that.
It's really not the worst idea in the world. The more I thought about it, like, actually, that's not bad. I thought about maybe Donovan Jackson here. Because they do need offensive line help, and he would give them somebody that, all right, Kingsley Suamatia and him could just go to work at battling for that left guard spot to replace Joe Thuney, but. I'm sorry, I got to do it. I'm such a big Emeka Egbuka fan. I think he would just really look great in this receiver room. Like, finally get a mature route runner, somebody who's just where he's supposed to be. We don't have to do all this designery stuff you got to do for Rashee Rice, all this designery stuff you got to do for Xavier Worthy. Get somebody in here who can actually just run routes, settle down, and be a reliable target. They haven't had somebody like that in a minute. Okay. So this is a pure vanity pick for me, but I'm going Emeka Egbuka at 31.
It's what they wanted Juju Smith-Schuster to be, but then a guy with the guy with actual 2 working legs. That would be Egbuka. Total like coach favorite, all that stuff. So yeah, he makes a lot of sense. Does dirty work too. Like, you just brought that up, but like, Worthy is more of a selective player. He has to be used in certain ways. Egbuka could be used in any which way, and he's going to be a positive player for you. He's one of those guys, no matter who takes him, I'm like, yep, that makes sense. Like, because it's one of those guys. His skill set makes sense for everybody. He's a scheme-proof guy without being an elite talent, but I still think he's a good talent. I have him as a receiver too. So, no, I like this.
So anyways, they'll take Luther Burden, all that said.
They'll take Luther Burden. They'll take, I'm trying to think, some like day 2 pass rusher. They'll take like Brandon Swinson or something like that. Something like that. Carson Schweschinger, a linebacker of some sort. I got the Eagles to wrap us up, defending Super Bowl champions. I'm deciding between 2 guys here. One is Mason Taylor, tight end. Maybe they move on from Dallas Goedert. That might be a sneaky draft guy. Not sneaky. I think it's pretty out in the open. They're trying to trade him. But yeah, maybe move on to tight end. But I kind of changed my mind here. And now I'm trying to remember what I changed my mind to. I'm going to go offensive line. I'm going to go with Donovan Jackson, Ohio State, offensive guard. I see him as a guard. This is no more reclamation projects. Tyler Steen has shown some nice things, but I think Jackson is a better player than Steen. I think of him as, boom, you drop him in, there's your right guard, done. You guys are set. and then also can kick out the tackle if you need it just in case, just like Steen can a little bit. So just having that little bit of versatility as well. I think he can hold his own as a tackle, but do not see him as a long-term tackle. I see him as a good guard. I'm really high on Jackson. Ended up having him above Booker. I just really think this is a good guard, a needle-moving guard. Eagles like to go trenches. That's what they prefer. Ty goes to the trenches, especially there. I think they go with Jackson, kind of continue to shore up the offensive line. Good job, guys.
Ooh.
We did it. 32 picks for this mock draft. We'll have 32 picks for you Thursday night with analysis. This is what we would do. Some of what teams will do on Thursday will be what we would do. Some of it would be what we would not do. Some would be something we didn't even think of. So we'll see. It's going to be a lot of fun. So make sure you guys join us. Like I said, the Yahoo Sports app. Check us out on YouTube. Check us out on X. All that good stuff. But we will be back Thursday night with round 1 of the NFL draft live. And then following it up with a recap pod. Us three from Football 301. Recapping all of the first round will be great stuff. I am Nate Tice. You can find me at Nate_Tice. That is Matt Harmon. You can find him at Matt Harmon_BYB. And that is Charles McDonald. You can find him at 4Verts. All of us are on Twitter and Blue Sky. Check out all the great stuff, all the big boards, all the articles, all the reception perception, all the good stuff that we have on Yahoo. Everybody has on Yahoo. Everybody's doing great work over here. Subscribe to us. Follow us. Rate us 5 stars, pretty please. And if you rate us 5 stars with a little review on Apple Podcasts with a question, we'll answer that question. It'll be great stuff. A little mailbag. Also, watch us on YouTube, on the Yahoo Sports YouTube channel. You can do that for the live draft shows as well. So make sure to subscribe before then. Be on the lookout for that draft show. But thanks to everyone behind the scenes. Thank you all for listening. See you guys on draft night.